Well, my mic's actually working this time. And, well, welcome to the overview of college football play. I figured I'd do it live this week. I figured I'd do the Overlook live. Um, okay, that's fixed. Just a little bit of moving things, but yeah, we're good. So I figured I'd do an Overlook live because why not? Gonna go for 15 minutes, half an hour. Not gonna be a super long stream. Just on for a little bit. And I'll say this now. Yes, I know Avery Davis went down. I'll cover that. Kyle Hamilton's still not back. We'll have a video on those two things. And later this week, we've got the podcasts. We got the three usual podcasts. The Common Flock, Golden Dome, Fighter from 3 might be this week. And then the Holy Gator, which I don't know if that'll be Saturday or Sunday. I'll coordinate with Sora tomorrow. We'll see which one we're doing it on. And we may be live on his Twitch or his YouTube. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But go check that out too, because if I don't mention some stuff like I'll talk about Cincinnati at some point and how they're hated by G5. If I didn't already talk about that on the last Holy Gator, I'll definitely be talking about next one. So we're going to roll up with notes and everything. But let's get into the rankings because there's a little bit to say about it. So 1, you've got Georgia. 2, you've got Bama. Now, this is the playoff ranking, by the way. 3, you've got Oregon. 4, you've got Ohio State. 5, Cincy. 6, Michigan. 7, Michigan State. 8, Oklahoma. 9, Notre Dame. 10, Oklahoma State. 11, A&M. 12, Wake Forest. 13, Baylor. 14, BYU. 15, Ole Miss. 16, NC State. 17, Auburn. 18, Wisconsin. 19, Purdue. And 20, Iowa. 21, Pitt. 22, San Diego State. 23, UTSA. 24, Utah. 25, Arkansas. Now, they moved Cincinnati up hesitantly because if there's one thing that the committee hates, it's G5. That's the only thing. They really don't hate anything else. They do favor Bama and don't favor Notre Dame, but that's something that's a topic for another video, another day. But one thing they hate above all, G5, because they know they're going to get rocked by a team like Alabama. Alabama will do that either way if they're not playing somebody that's not a top 10 team. But Cincinnati, I don't know, because if they show, it's a chance for them to show, yeah, we can do it. But people complain all the time when we go and play Bama in the CFP, like we did it in 2018 and 2020, and we lost. At least we scored points. I don't know if Cincinnati would be able to drop that many points on Bama. I really don't. I mean, yes, you've got talents there. You've got some talent on that team, guys like Ahmad Gardner and stuff, and you've got a good red zone defense, but I don't think it's enough to stop Bama on a down year. Bama is on a down year. The gap, I feel like, is slowly starting to close between them and the rest of the league right now. I was talking about this yesterday with some people I know because they had them over for hockey, to watch hockey. The gap seems to be getting a little bit smaller between Alabama, everybody else. Your higher teams like your Georgia, your Ohio State, your Michigan, your Notre Dame, those guys. The gap is getting smaller and smaller slightly. I mean, Notre Dame just pulled in one of their best, or is so far pulling in a top 3 class in the nation. It's one of their best in a while. I mean, the number of 4 and 5 stars is it's up there with some of the not early decade classes. Probably around like a 2010 class, because I know I think that was the big. There was a late 2010 or late 2000s, early 2010s class that was very stacked. I don't remember what class it was, but it's up there with one of those with the 4 and 5 star numbers, and it's a good class. There's other colleges that are catching up with good classes. There's other colleges that just need some spots filled. Michigan needs anybody at receiver, and They're fine with Cade McNamara. He's a decent quarterback. They've got a 1-2 punch of Haskins and Corum. I don't know if Haskins is there for another year, but even if he's not, you're fine with Corum. Even if you can find a decent backup running back, that's a plus. If you can find a decent power back, you've still got a good system. But I mean, Georgia's stacked this year, although they've got weakness at times against the passing defense, a deep pass defense, a spread offense, or a deep pass offense. I was saying defense. A spread offense, an offense that's going to toss the ball downfield 10, 15 times a game. Georgia struggles against that kind of offense. But when it comes to the run game, they'll destroy it. They will stop the run. I mean, I don't know if Cincinnati can compete with some of those higher teams. I got to see it to believe it. I really do. Coastal was the same thing last year. Everyone was like, oh, well, we got to see them play real competition. Cincinnati's the same way. They beat us. They got lucky. I mean, you're playing a Notre Dame team that has a quarterback that transferred from Wisconsin, is in kind of a different system. He also has, he's not used to his blind side. His blind side's been switching a lot because you've got guys, you had a lot of jumps back and forth between Joe Alt and Michael Carmody and Tosh Baker just at left tackle. I mean, you had left guards swap around a little bit at the beginning of the season, tried to find the best spot for guys like Zeke Correll, who I think is still at right guard, just staying solid. And yeah, because Kane Madden's at left guard. It took a while to kind of get him settled in. He's another transfer. I mean, that line's been shifting a lot. Receivers, receivers transferred out late at the end of last year. So you kind of had receiver shifts. You had to figure out who to go to as your number one now because your number one, your number two just left in the draft. And the guy who was supposed to be your next number one or two transfers. So you kind of have to figure that out. The run game, they weren't incorporating the run game the best, at least from Reese's point of view. The defense with Marcus Freeman had to step up, and they didn't. They were still kind of phasing themselves in. You're down 3 linebackers at the time. Actually, I think it's 3 now because I think there's 2 season-ending injuries, and then Lefau's still down. That or I'm thinking of Lefau as a season-ending, and I think somebody else may be down. But, I mean, there's that, and then there's just the problem of CB's good, but it's not great. It can definitely have upgrades. I feel like we're not hearing their names a lot, and that's good and bad. So, it is what it is. I mean, you're going to get what you're going to get at this point with that safety or the corner room right now. But that and the D-line struggled with the departure of a few guys. You're now struggling again. It's like the offensive line. You just saw multiple guys leave from that line, and now you're trying to rebuild it. It's an in-between year for Notre Dame. It's not a year where they're going to go out and compete for a CFP spot, but they still have a chance to, which they're not going to make it. The chances are very slim, but it's there. And, I mean, at this point, why not? But they're not as good of a team as they've been in years past. Since he beat us, great. We beat Wisconsin. We were in the middle of their downhill spiral. We beat Wisconsin in Lambeau Field that was dominated by Wisconsin fans. We won a night game at Virginia Tech, and say what you want about them, but a night game in Lane Stadium is difficult. And they were a team with not very much to lose and everything to gain, which makes that game hard. And, I mean, people say, oh, Virginia Tech's not that great. I don't care if they're good or not. If they're not good, that just means they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If they're good, they're still a dangerous, no matter who you play, any given Saturday. I mean, Purdue's been doing it all year, knocking teams off left and right. They just did it to Michigan State, whom only dropped 4 spots. They only dropped 4 spots. They dropped below Michigan. Now, here's my thing. Yeah, I get it. You can drop them below Michigan, but I don't know. It's a mixed bag when you look at the Michigan State Michigan at 6-7 or at 7-6, because Michigan's a 6. A lot of people are questioning Oregon at 3. I get it. They lost to Stanford. I think this isn't their best year, but it's still a good year for them. But I don't know if they belong at 3. I think they'll get... If it went to the playoffs today, they'd still get destroyed by Bama. But it's still a good team, but I don't know if they're there yet. Which is why I'm hoping Michigan or Michigan State makes it there potentially to knock them out. But we won't talk about that right now. Then you've got Oklahoma at 8. Why? No idea. Then again, that may be because of their QB question of what's going on with Rattler and Wilson. I know, or Williams. Caleb Williams. I know he's doing good, though. But it's not only that, it's moving him. What does that do? Or moving from Rattler or Williams, what does that do? But whatever. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. And then Notre Dame only moved up one spot at 9 after the loss of Wake Forest is really what pushed them up. Yeah, no. I think we should have moved up a little further. I think Michigan State should have dropped a little bit more. Then again, they did lose to Purdue, but we get slight points just because we beat Purdue by 2 touchdowns. I'm not mad about that. I hope Purdue Purdue's probably not going to win this week against Ohio State, but if they did, that would be amazing. If they can drop kick Ohio State down to around the 8-9 range, thank you. That would make things so much better. I just like seeing Ohio State lose right now. I'll say that. But yeah, it's a weird poll and right now because you're going off rankings that were like the way they ranked them. It was given to them in 2014 by Hancock. And they still use the same way of ranking. They use strength of schedule as much as they don't call it that. Or not strength of schedule. They don't use, or they say they don't use margin of victory, but they do. They use stuff like strength of schedule, and all in all, sometimes they're very questionable in their decisions because it's a ranking system from 2014. College football has changed at least slightly since then. I think especially if you go to or add more teams to the playoff, you've got to change the rankings or how you rank. You've got to change it at least a little bit because it seems like they have problems with it all the time where they're wrong here or there. It's happened every year since its induction. Never fails. I don't know. That's just me. But looking at the teams that can still make it, the ones who can there's 11. Alabama, Cincinnati, Georgia, Michigan, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Oregon, A&M. Who are the teams that are likely, or who I think have a bigger chance to make it? Well, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon. Michigan's got a good chance. Michigan State's got a good chance. Cincinnati, I think, has a decent chance, but G5 definitely hurts them, and the committee is going to do whatever they can to keep them out because they will. They hate G5. The only thing they hate when they rank G5, the only thing. No other kind of really bias most of the time, except towards Alabama. Did I say that? But they usually won't bias unless you're a G5, then they will 1,000% bias because they don't like G5. Never have, probably won't for a while. Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, A&M. I put them all in the same category, maybe even Oklahoma of slim chance but possible. A&M I think is very slim, almost impossible. Same with Oklahoma State. Although I think Notre Dame's getting slightly closer to that territory every week. And our only big hurdle left is Virginia, though. We play them tomorrow night, so that'll be fun. And it's at Virginia. Great. I want to watch that game. I might actually do a live play-by-play for that game, but Yeah, there isn't many teams left, and I mean, at the end of the day, looking at it, yeah, there's definitely some ways this could shake up, and you still got matchups between the Big Ten schools, the Ohio State, Michigan State. Those guys still got to play some of each other. Michigan already played Michigan State. Penn State's got to play most of them, if not all of them. I think just most. I think they played one or two of them already. But dude, I mean, there's so many ways this could go. They're probably going to keep Cincinnati out as much as possible. You're going to see Alabama make it. Georgia's 1,000% going to make it. So I think that leaves the 3 and 4 spot kind of open, especially since at 3 you've got Oregon and at 4 you've got Ohio State. Ohio State could easily get knocked off by a Michigan and drop and get screwed. They also could beat them, drop Michigan, maybe screw Michigan. I don't know. But there's a lot that's going to come into play over the next couple weeks. And at the end of the day, these are the teams that are fighting for a playoff spot. And only 4 are going to make it. Only 6 are going to, or only 4 are going to make it with 2 getting a consolation. Now, who do I think could get the consolation? Well, Cincinnati's going to get 1. And then if they keep them out. And then the second one's probably going to go to, well, it's anybody right now. If Oregon gets dropped out or if Ohio State gets dropped out, they still may have a share. They'll still have a good shot at it. But that would also open up a spot or open that up. Michigan's got a very good chance of getting it. So does Michigan State if they can't make it in. It also opens up for maybe Oklahoma and Notre Dame. That's it. Those are the only 2 other teams that I think really have much of a shot in making that bowl. A&M and Oklahoma State, I think they've got a chance, but I don't think they get there. I don't. It's very, very, very unlikely. But whatever, we'll see. The crazier things have happened, and the top 5 team killer right now is Purdue, and they actually play Ohio State this week. They play in Ohio State. They're probably going to get destroyed, but hey, we can hope, right? Because nothing or almost nothing is greater than watching Ohio State lose, except Alabama, Michigan, and USC. But we won't talk about that right now. I that's that'll open up a little bit of trash talk on Michigan and USC, and if I go down that road today, I'm not coming back. That with how my day is gone, no, I don't trust myself enough to do it. But if I can get the schedule up, Cincinnati already played. They actually played today earlier, and they beat South Florida because South Florida is such a good team. But yeah, Bama does have nobody. Michigan's got Penn State. Oklahoma's got Baylor. That could knock Oklahoma down a peg, maybe out of the race. Georgia, of course, is Tennessee. Whoop-de-doo. Ohio State's got Purdue. Michigan State's got Maryland. That should be easy for them. We've got Virginia. That should be a decent game. Oregon's got Washington State. No competition. And then Oklahoma State's got TCU. So not really that much at stake this week for them. It's maybe 2 or 3 games that could knock a team off. That's it. Alabama's got Arkansas next week. Again, that I don't think it's there. Cincy plays SMU. Oklahoma plays Iowa State, and Oklahoma State plays Texas Tech. 3 games that they really shouldn't lose. Georgia's got Charleston Southern. Really? Charleston Southern. Yeah, there's no way they can lose that. And then Ohio State does play Michigan State next week. So that may test that team right there. That very well may test that team. I'm hoping it does. Then week 13, Auburn's got Bama. And Oklahoma has Oklahoma State, so that'll definitely knock one of the two out if they're not both already out by then. And Ohio State has Michigan, week 14. A lot of the championships will be decided by then. Yeah, that's championship week. And then week 15, you've got the Army-Navy game. Let's go. I love that game. That game is always fun to watch. There is never a time where I have not had fun watching an Army-Navy game. And it's the only game on that week. That's deserving of that game. I have nothing but good things to say about that game. I remember watching that game back in like 2012, 2013 with my grandpa. Never forget it. Love the game. Got some good memories attached to it. Great thing. I love it. Can't wait to see what happens this year because, man, it's going to be fun. Although Navy's having a down year. We won't talk about that. But yeah, there's some matchups that those top teams still got to go through. Some ranked teams. Bama's got a ranked team in Auburn. Ohio State's got Penn State, and then they've got a ranked team or they have unranked Penn State, but that's still a tough game. And then they've got a ranked Michigan squad, and somebody's got Michigan State. Although I don't know. Ohio State makes. I just looked at it. Whatever I just said. Ohio State's got two good opponents, maybe three. Michigan does have two tough opponents. They've got two ranked games. That is Actually, no, they've got two tough games. Ohio State and Penn State. They already played their Michigan State. They're ranked. They're other big ranked team in the last couple weeks. But anyways, that's kind of the overlook. I know it's kind of short and stuff, but I figured I'd do a live this time. And although the chat may have been quiet, to anyone who came through for a second, a minute, or an hour, thank you. And, well, come back either tomorrow or Sunday for the Holy Gator, depending on what day we do it. Tomorrow I also may do a live play-by-play for Notre Dame, Virginia. I still haven't decided. And then Sunday or Monday will be the podcast. Last week it was just I tried to figure out everything with the Holy Gator, so they were pushed back. Two or all three of all three are coming back. I may even do a combined Common Flock Golden Dome for a week just to see how that kind of works in case I ever need to, because I want to test the thing here and there. But anyway, and there's probably going to be some overlap anyways, especially if we get into the off season. That way I could just do that with the overlap. So it's just something to test. But anyways, you know who I am. Thank you for watching. And I'll be back later this weekend with more content.